Hello, this is Mr. Adam, and I'm here with,
Mrs. Adam.
and we're here to start our new podcast, and this is our first one. So thank you for showing up. I think we're going to call it By the By, and that's B-Y the B-I, because we both consider ourselves bisexual, and we're trying to give some information and some hints, and I don't know, experiences, I suppose. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you are a podcaster and have heard us maybe on Swinging Down Under with C&D, that's where we made our first podcast appearance.
We had our podcast cherry popped on their
We
podcast.
And it was comfortable. It was nice. So thank you to C&D.
It didn't hurt at all.
It didn't hurt at all. No, there was no crying.
No bloodshed.
I won't say that. Let's not go too far. So here we are, and what we want to talk about is, us, I suppose, and anything that the world wants us to talk about, I guess. Let's jump to a brief history of us. We have been together for
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
I look at her just because I'm testing her.
I can do math.
We've been together for 3 years. We've been married for almost 2. And, we've been in an open relationship the entire time.
We've both been married before, and when we started dating, we knew that monogamy was not for us. We both knew that, while we want to be with each other primarily, we also want to be with other people. Both together and separately, depending on the scenario. So, and we were very honest with each other about that from the beginning. And we've been open from the start, and it has worked very well for us. And I realize it doesn't work for everyone, but it's been good for us.
That's important for us to make a point of. It's interesting. I think we both recognize that there is no right or wrong way to do something like this. There is no perfect relationship, and there's no right way to do a relationship. There's plenty of wrong ways, I guess, to do a relationship, but there's no right way. It's whatever works for you. And this is something that works for us. Very early on in our relationship, I remember us, both me and you would have dates, and we would go out and hook up with people, and then we would come back to one another and spend the night together. And I think that sort of established that mentality that, she's my home base. She's who I'm coming home to, and it just sort of, that kind of works for us. But yeah, we're, like I said before, we're both openly bi. I say openly with maybe some air quotes, because we are referring to ourselves as Mr. and Mrs. Adam, not our real names. Please see note. It's an interesting world in which we live in which we can sort of be open and free in who we are, and we're encouraged by everyone to be open and free in who you are. But unfortunately, we're not protected to be open and free in who we are. And I think that's something that we both are sort of concerned with.
And there's a lot of judgment out there and a lot of backlash. And some of it's okay, but some people take it a little too far sometimes.
Some people take everything a little bit too seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we decided, at least in the meantime, to go with pseudonyms. It's one of those things. Again, we live in a world in which recently in the States we've passed legislation to allow gay marriage, but again, there's no protection against sexuality in general. So many places you can lose your job if they find out that you're gay, lesbian, bi.
Yeah.
And that's just it kind of sucks. Anyone who listens to Swinging Down Under knows where we live, and that happens to be Sydney, Australia. Fantastic country, fantastic city, with fantastic people. A nod again to C&D. But as well, gay marriage actually isn't legal yet in Australia, lagging a little bit behind there, and there is no protection for sexuality in the government.
Hopefully Australia will catch up at some point.
Yeah. So
can always be hopeful.
Always helpful. So that's where we're starting from. I guess a little more about us. As Mrs. here has said, we have both been previously married. For me, I was married for quite a while to a nice lady in the States. And then ultimately, I think I'm going to partially blame it on my bisexuality. We decided that marriage was no longer really for us. And you?
I've also been married before for quite a long time. And I won't say at all that it was because of my bisexuality that we broke up. There were a lot of other reasons, as often happens in relationships, and we just kind of grew apart. It's one of those things, and we're still very good friends, but it's just the partnership wasn't working. And since then, I have hooked up with Mr. Adam here, and our partnership is working very well. We complement each other in a lot of ways, and including the bisexuality, because we very often play with other people, like I said previously, either together or separately, but we very much prefer together. And it really it makes it a lot easier and opens things up when we can talk open and honestly with each other about what we want and what we like and don't like. And that includes, when other people are around as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that she makes there with being open and honest. I think that is one thing that all relationships can use a little bit more of. We tend to assume something about our partner, and so we think that we know what they're thinking, or we think that if we want something or we might be too afraid to ask for something because of what they are going to say without actually knowing what they're going to say. I think it was Stephen King who said that the scariest thing is a knock at the door, and once you open the door, there's nothing that can be described that is more frightening than what's in your imagination. And I think many relationships are that same way. Is we all tend to assume that we know what our partners are going to think or our partners are going to say, and that's rarely is it as bad as what we imagine. What they say is rarely is as bad as what we would imagine they would say or how they might react. I think that seems pretty accurate. If you are coming to us through Swinging Down Under, you know that we are also in an open relationship. Swingers, I guess. I don't really like that term. I don't know. I hate labels, but I like to be labeled, if that makes sense. So we're still trying to work on.
That doesn't make sense, dear.
I know. I'm still trying to work on a label. It's frustrating. It's first world problems, I suppose. Hashtag swinger problems. But yeah, so we are in an open relationship. We've got a few partners out there. Hello, y'all. But it's exciting and it works for us, and we realize that this isn't possibly what normal is, but anybody who can give me a perfect definition of normal other than an average of everybody out there, feel free to have at it. This is already going a lot faster than I expected it to.
So we're going to bring up a few topics that we may discuss or will discuss, I suppose, in future podcasts. But just to give you an idea of the type of things that we are interested in and would like to share with you guys. If you have anything in particular you want to hear about, by all means, let us know. We'll get to contact information later. But exactly. But one of the things that we are going to talk about in a future session is our first times with the same sex, because everybody has those first times, and you have the first time with opposite sex, first time with same sex, and depending on where you've started out, all first times are awkward.
I was gonna say, is it ever not awkward and uncomfortable?
No, it's not. It's always a bit awkward the first time, no matter what.
God, I can't. Like the first time I scrambled eggs, it was really uncomfortable and awkward.
Yeah,
that's not a sexual thing. That's like really making scrambled eggs for breakfast. It was horrible.
It was horrible. Probably really awkward for the eggs too.
God,
yeah.
They were. Whew, yeah. Yeah, that's something that we both want to talk about, and we'll talk about that in a later later podcast. Other things we want to touch on are the many apps out there and meetup sites and places, things such as Grindr and Scruff and Boy Ahoy. There's not really a good one for ladies, but I keep thinking we should make one like, I don't know, Clamster or Scissoring.
There's a few I've seen tried for women, but nothing as comprehensive and well put together as some of the ones for guys.
What up, girls? Get on that.
I know.
I tell you.
Stuff.
Yeah, we'll touch on Blender, which I don't even know if Blender still exists anymore. I guess I should get on my phone and check it out. But yeah, Blender, which was, as I understand, was originally made for women and turned into it's by the folks that make Grindr, blah 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 blah. But yeah,
we'll get to all that at some point.
We'll get all of that later. We'll also talk about at some point when we knew that heterosexuality wasn't for us. At what point did we decide that this expected thing, or what the world told us we should do, wasn't exactly what we wanted to do? That I think I could go way back and touch on childhood and shit. Could be a long podcast.
We may not need to go that far back.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then other things that I know I would like to talk about at some point was coming out. We are both, I'm going to say generally out. We don't tend to hide who we are or what we're interested in. And I know that I've talked to my parents about, being open and bi and my interest in guys, friends, how they responded. Even workmates and people in the workplace and how that's what's changed and what's affected. Other things we'll talk about along the way are things such as the big move from the States to Australia and how bisexuality and being open in an open relationship, how that's changed from living in the States to living in Oz. And what really, I guess, that meant for us as a couple. I don't know what else.
And how it's changed our relationship,
yeah. How it's changed our relationship.
Or affected, I guess I should say. Maybe not changed, but how it's affected, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think those are some of the good big topics to start with.
That's big topics.
Yeah.
This is, admittedly, we are not professionals. We have lived our own life and lived our own experiences and fucked up in so many massive ways. But we are hoping to gain from this. We're hoping to both learn a little bit more about ourselves. We're hoping to maybe understand a little more about our own sexualities, I suppose. And then, furthermore, help people. I know when I was first dealing with being bi and living in a heteronormative lifestyle and trying to understand myself, I was constantly grasping at straws and grasping at the internet and grasping at anybody who would talk to me about sex and what they were interested in and who they were interested in, because I wanted some sort of validation to know that I wasn't alone, to know that what I was feeling was normal. I think it's funny because I think that neither one of us want to be normal, and I think many of our friends, none of us want to be normal, but at the same time, it's nice to know that you're not alone in how you feel.
That there's other people out there that are like-minded, and yeah, we just really kind of want to share our experiences in the hopes that someone out there may benefit from it, and it may help them. Maybe you'll realize that you're not alone and that there are other people that think similarly to you. hopefully you've got an environment in which you do feel like that, but not everyone does. And so, yeah, we're just here to kind of share where we came from and who we are and go from there.
Yeah, so this hopefully will be a fun, wild ride.
Yeah.
We're hoping that we have plenty to say and that we aren't going to bore you to tears. If we do bore you to tears, please don't email us and tell us that you're bored. But if you do have questions, comments, or rude remarks, feel free to shoot us an email. Currently, and this may change, you can email us at atomsoflove@gmail.com. That is currently where you can find us on the emails.
And because he spelled out "the" for you so nicely, it is the atoms, ATOMS, of love @gmail.com.
That's a very good point. Yes.
Yes.
She caught me on that. I was testing the populace. The atoms, like, because we have molecules tattooed on it. It's complicated. I don't know. Yes, so the atomsoflove@gmail.com, or you can follow us at the Atoms of Love on the Twitter feed and the Twitterverse. We are still really new on there, but we're trying to post pictures and funny things, and we're trying to be relevant. It's hard for us because, I'm not going to say we're old, but we ain't young. So, we're trying to be exciting on there. And hopefully very soon our website will be up. It'll be www.bythebi, that's bythebi.com.au, because we are in the Australia-verse. So email, Twitter, the website, download our podcasts wherever you download podcasts. And I guess for now this is going to be a relatively short one. We're going to come in just under the 20-minute mark. So are we interesting enough to continue with this on for the future? I guess we'll find out.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's us signing off for now. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Bye.